G'day guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Terrain. We have finally finished, as you would have seen in the last episode, the heroic effort to set up this studio space, and I am so excited to have you in this new space. So excited that I actually got which is why I was going to grab this.
Take two.
We're so excited that we've got Steve here from Riles Media, who is coming and manning the cameras today. When you've got a studio space looking this amazing, you definitely need to have friends come and make it look awesome. So thank you, Steve. So today we are going to start fairly simple. We are just going to start tearing into some of the chassis related add-ons. Got a whole bunch of brake lines, we've got the trans cooler lines, we've got ABS things, we've got a heap of little hoses. Basically the idea of end of today is to we've got steering pump to do, we got the reserve tank or second sub tank pump that we got to relocate. We've got a whole bunch of wiring as well for the body, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this loom also does the ABS control module, the fuel tank senders, all that type of stuff. So we're going to rip all of that out so we are down back to a steel chassis in preparation for a little bit of rust conversion and then treating this chassis with a new coat of paint. So awesome to have you here. Want to say a massive shout out to all the new subscribers that are jumping on board this build. A massive shout out to Beeline Auto, who have also come on board. If you are in this area and you need parts for your car, go and see the team at Beeline Auto and support the companies that support channels like this, because that's how it all works. Yeah, welcome to the new studio. We'll see you in a minute. That's why I put it up. I get teased for man buns, but because it gets in your eyes. And no, I don't want to cut my hair. I like it long. Rule number one before we start, if you've been following the channel long enough, sandwich bags, they are your friend. Use them every time you take a bolt out. Alright. This one we shall call chassis wiring loom. Can everyone read that?
No.
And then you take your bolts straight away and you put them in your bag. That's how you don't lose them.
I lost the bag out of the shot, but I got it back.
This is a invaluable tool. There's plenty of ways you can rip this stuff out, but to try and do it without breaking, one of these guys, I think they're like 15 bucks from Super Cheap. They are worth the investment. If you don't have one, make sure you get one. Either side of the plug, give her a tap, pulls it out. And we'll just work our way down, really. So these were for our ABS unit, for our little electrical sender that senses how many rotations each wheel is going via just a little magnet and sensing teeth on a cog, and when it gets a different count between the wheels, then it knows something bizarre is happening and it engages ABS. So there you go, similar of how they do traction controls in cars and stuff like that as well. I think that's almost us done. One more. We're free, guys. Look at this. I'm pretty sure this is the last of the cable to come off the car, which is very exciting. We do have enough tags on this as it is, and I just know what this body loom is, so I'm not going to I'm not going to label up anymore because it's pretty straightforward from here. But now let's focus on maybe some of these brake lines and the fuel lines and get all those stripped off and work the way towards the front of the car. Alright, fuel lines, brake lines, let's get them ripped off. So I've already labelled most of these from when I did do the fuel tanks. There's a couple of T-junctions for the breather line. That's pretty much the only real weird part, but there's a lot neater way that we're going to be able to do that. So for now we're just going to rip all these off the chassis. Rain is starting, so let's go to musical montage.
The wheels going to start doing zoom creep or something.
What you doing, Brad? Just setting up another little top angle, mate. Which looks a little something like this. So, when we actually get to this part here, I'm still undecided whether I'm going to keep the factory fuel lines or whether we're going to do braided stuff. But when doing the LS conversion, you do need to, basically where this starts to kick, these are your engine mounts here, which means the exhaust headers run past this section. So from about here, you actually need to bend these ABS lines and the fuel lines to run on top of the chassis, not on the side of the chassis. So we're taking all the lines off now anyway to obviously get the chassis stripped down and painted and get it in good nick. But when we put all this back on, from about here up, we're going to be doing a very different style of running. So not exactly sure what it's going to look like yet. But yeah, this is definitely one place to keep note for both sides with the fuel lines and the brake lines.
For those who can't read upside down, that says heat shield.
Driver's side front. You think you might remember what a small piece of metal, but I have about 20 pieces of metal this size that I pulled off the Patrol. So even that stuff gets labelled, gets stored, and gets placed in an area that is chassis related. Like for now, the bench. Alright, we are getting real close now. I don't know why I missed this one. I just must have been halfway through something. Of course, the one that's left, you use a different size socket. Of course you do. Why? Because you're a car.
So I've got a serious question, Brad. For a guy who's pulled the whole Nissan apart, I got it right that time. Do you have the lost 10mm socket problem like everyone else?
I have definitely been around that situation. It has affected my life before. Currently I'm doing well. I've actually lost two 14s this car. 14s specific. So in both socket sets I've lost my 14s. I have no idea where it is. I don't know. Bigger car, bigger socket. But yeah, it's real. Whether it's 10 or 14, it's real. And it definitely hurts the heart. Sad. Cue sad music.
Zoom it right in on the eye for the tear. Hang on, squirt, squirt. There goes quality control dog.
Yeah, sight foreman. Alright, I think we just got, what do we got? One more. Now there is a tool for this as well. I don't have it, so I just be a bit mean to it. There's also a correct tool for this that I also don't have. So we just be a little bit mean to it. And if being mean doesn't work, we get a bigger screwdriver. That'll do it. This is way oversized, but this will get it. Got him. Same thing, straighten the bag. These go walkabouts very, very quickly. I don't have a bag, so it's going in my pile of bolts that'll probably get lost because I don't do what I tell people to do, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to better myself as a person. All right, what did we need? We need a little... No, these 10 mil. 8, 9, 10.
Hey? Oh no, socket. I was going to say, you got a 10 there, everyone will be braiding your shed. That one's really rounded, hey? Wow.
Alright, so we've just put this clip back on because obviously it's got a squared off, if you don't know we'll show you in a minute, but it's got a squared off edge that once this is on, nothing can spin. So, and then we've just used a big bit of multis. It's a good lesson that if you're doing brake stuff, these things actually don't need to be done up so tight that you can tow a truck off them. They just pretty much need to be nipped up so that you can unnip them instead of, yeah, nice. Look at that, mate, easy. Who cares if you find your 10 mil, mate? They don't work anyway. Is the census here?
Because someone over tightened it.
It was very tight, which is, once again, if you've been following the build, is opposite to what this build has been. There's been so many loose things. And that's another reason why heaps of guys still, like, obviously use lapel mics. I don't want to use lapel mics because when you're doing this, you subconsciously breathe heavy. And you watch all these YouTubers doing car stuff, and when they're not talking, all you hear is... Because we've all got a bit of tub on us, you know? We all breathe heavy. You don't want to hear that. You don't need to hear that. Alright, guys. I think we're going to rip this bracket off here, because otherwise we're going to have to thread everything through it. So we'll get onto that. Nice. So yeah, ratchet end of these I have loved. I have really put a lot of hurt onto these cracking things, even right the way up to the 19. And yeah, very impressed. Open-ended end, to be honest, not overly impressed, but so I'm love-hate with these. They feel great, they're a good solid tool. Something's going on with the ends that I'm not a fan of, but I don't know. If you've got a set, let me know in the comments. If you have a set of them and yours possibly do the same, I don't know. Victory! Victory! Right, this, I won't label this piece because I can clearly tell it is a handbrake cable bracket. So we'll just go put this up on the bench with its associated nuts and bolts. Keep it organised. As soon as you pull it off, organise it.
Such authority.
Well, I feel it's the one thing that stops projects, you know what I mean? That and long hair in your face stops projects quite a bit. I feel there's one in my eyeball at the moment. But yeah, that's what stops project is you go rip, tear, bust. you get into something, your shed gets filled with pieces, and then you go put it back together and it's lost that and need to find that and go to a wrecker for that. If you just, as you pull stuff off, just organise it, tape it, label it. It's like anything. You want to succeed, do it the right way, do it thorough. So I do harp on about it a fair bit, but it's definitely kept me on the straight and narrow. So boys, please bag your nuts. Bag your nuts. Nothing but nut bagging. Alright, we need to find our... Can you stop chasing rats please, mate? You've been pretty heavy on the rat chase today. 12. What are we after? 10. Alright, this is it. Guys, whoa. We have some fuel rails. They're going to get tucked out the back here, bit of back of the house. Try not knock my expensive camera off and stand.
Dude.
Oh, that's what I was half expecting to happen. Alright, how good is that? That's almost the whole driver's side of the chassis completed. We got a steering pump to put to take off. We literally have a couple of transcooler lines and ABS lines on this side. This little pump bracket to take off. This little bracket here, which is essentially just a sub fuel tank mount. And then that's it. We are almost as stripped as this thing would come from factory. And that's a really cool, I don't know, part about doing these builds for me is just kind of stripping this right back down to its bare thing. Is like, this is what rolls through a production line at one time in its life, is just a bare chassis, nothing on it, and all this stuff gets added to it, and just the engineering behind it. And if you like watching stuff like that, like I do, yeah, I think it's just absolutely brilliant to kind of see something back in its raw form. Yeah, I'm pumped. I get excited. As soon as I get a next little bit, I get so excited. It's very cool.
How excited?
So pumped. I get pumped. I do. In my heart. Big Kev's excited. Wow. We've done it again. Ah, Patrol, you've done it again. Change size. Boom. Another little brake section off. Now with some of these, that one's okay because it's just a breather and it's trans lines. But little things like this, I'm just going to throw a label on and say that it's from the driver's side or the passenger side. Same as this here. There's obviously two of them. Doesn't matter if you swap driver and passenger, but if you didn't have any leaks in your brakes to begin with, probably best just to throw the left on the left and the right on the right. No point messing them up, so I'm going to label them as we pull them off. It was just sitting there, so now we've got a couple of little random brackets. One there, one down there for the exhaust. We have the fuel pump for the sub fuel tank, and we have a couple of body mounts and that. So I'm just going to quickly rip into this stuff, pull it off, and then that's done. We are chassis back to essentially a bare chassis, and the work shall begin. We've got the coil tower covers that I'll be pulling off, of course, and making sure cleaning under them. So that one there and that one there. We have some body mounts around the place. There is, I think the front and the back ones are on, the three middle ones down each side just have sit-in ones, so they just pop out pretty easily and are already out. Yeah, we are ticking down. That will be diffs finished and chassis finished, both ready to kind of strip and repaint and start building up, which is the most exciting part for me. We have finally finished the teardown and we can actually start doing things and building this back up and adding things and being careful not to scratch things because it's all new and pretty, but that's also part of the fun. So another hour or so left on the stuff out here. Obviously not an hour for you guys because you get heaps bored and you'd stop the video, and you've probably already stopped the video. If you haven't, comment below. You're a legend. You are a legend. Yeah, bud, you. Good on you, mate.